piece, approximately.
Can we get a spotlight on over the table? As soon as people are behind it. That's made by who?
This was made by the firm known as Karl Griesbach in Triberg, Germany, about 1950s. The Griesbach factory was in business making small miniature whistling mechanisms that they installed in carved whistlers, a whole wide range of singing birds and cages. And they were in business in the late 1800s straight through to about 1970. And then eventually they folded. And another firm in Rudesheim, Germany bought the remainders of the company, and from the family members, survived and surviving family members, and then moved it to their place in Rudesheim and started manufacturing similar pieces under the new name. Yeah, Siegfried Wendel in Rudesheim, Germany.
What kind of a sound mechanism is in that one? Is it a whistle?
No, it's a slide whistle. Yeah.
Can you see that?
They're very compact. I mean, it's a beautiful mechanism. It's very compact, very efficient, and they're still being made today by the Wendel family that succeeded Siegfried, who started the firm, and have a mechanical music museum right on the Rhine River in Rudesheim, Germany.
And they have a new automata museum, haven't too.
Yeah, they only just opened. Only just opened. Yeah.
Mechanical.
Yep. And then this is the bon temps piece with a little surprise inside is the little bird.
You have to manually open it or?
Yeah, manually open. This is a metal. It's a worked, I hate to call it toll work, but it's something similar to that.
Doesn't flap, right?
No. He barely fits in that pineapple, though. I mean, barely. And you can see his tail feathers had to be nipped a little bit, in order to, be able to close the lid on it.
That's really beautiful sound.
No, well, this one has not been restored. They're all original. So on the red one, the top one, the head should be turning from side to side, but it's barely. He's trying. He's going through the motions.
What's the date on this one?
This is probably right around 1890, around 1900, circa 1900. As I mentioned, the bon temps family had been in business from the late I think it was Blaise bon temps was maybe 1840 for some of the really early pieces, and then the sons took over and they kept going through the 1970s pretty much through different family members succeeding in keeping the businesses alive. Then they split up and there were two separate family members. They're in Paris, different areas of Paris, making very similar pieces until Rouge Music Company bought out one, and Michel Bertrand, the fellows that I worked with, his shop bought out the other brother. So you can go and I went into Michel Bertrand's workshop. You could open up old wooden drawers that had original cams for the singing birds from bon temps, and the pattern pieces were marked. This one's a Merrill. This one's what species, because they were different songs for different species.
Oh my God.
They only made about 3 or 4, but one was just so successful. That's the one you 99% of the time hear.
These look like regular songbirds and not exotic birds, which are the first ones to declassify.
Yeah.
There's now no distinction. Any songbird is a problem?
I went searching on the internet for possible alternatives, feather-wise, that would look more like the originals. I couldn't find any that were not designated as protected species. And once you're on, the famous internet and going down and you're going species by species by species of songbird, there's a little drop-down window that says exactly what their protected species or protected status is, as well as what level of endangered that species is. And so that's why it becomes very interpretive of exactly what customs official, what day, what week, who it is, what their knowledge is, and how, if they decide against you, how bad are you willing to fight it?
So if you were a builder and you go into one of the craft shops or something that sell you the little birds with feathers on it and bought one and then started to cut it up to work the thing, you'd still have to have proof if you went to sell
Yeah,
it?
but most of those craft shops, it's all chicken feathers. All the
Are
craft
all
shops,
dyed,
they're
okay.
dyed, they're
Okay.
worked, they're engineered to be free and safe to transit in.
I know that, like, we were talking about fly tying, there's a salmon fly tying business, and it went underground, and it got so bad, people had stolen bird samples out of the museum
Yeah.
the British Museum.
Yeah.
They stole several hundred, and they
didn't even know.
Yeah.
And so it's like,
Yeah.
kind of pushed it around.
This gentleman's,
It's a grease bomb Model 9 from the 60s.
Do your choice of colors, blue, red?
Is that real feather on
Yeah, it's all original.
yeah.
You have to wind that one up or have it?
Yeah, yeah. It's got a very similar mechanism to the other singing bird, just a different case style.
So did you purchase that from the factory? Or-
Yes.
it?
Thanks.
Jerry, in the Guinness collection, there's a bird on like a pedestal.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a pontoon mechanism in him? It's made by Falcon.
It was made by one of his competitors, Fallobois, but I'm positive that's a Bonton mechanism inside the base of that. But it was a model that Bonton, that was unique to Fallobois, I think, in Fallobois' catalog. I don't remember seeing that in any of the Bonton catalogs, that entire model. So, yeah. The one thing with protected species, too, you have to watch out for the woods. One experience that my brother and I had is we sold to a collector in Japan a American-made Stella music box in a mahogany cabinet. And mahogany is a protected species, mainly because of the way it's forested. It's forested in a strip bare technique. And the governments have wanted to try to deter harvesting in that manner and being so destructive. And in their writing of the documents for CITES, they're being a little bit general in their descriptions and not as specific as they could be. So it's left up to interpretation of some of the officials in customs when they make these declarations of findings. And the music box itself was right around 1890 to circa 1900. And it was a Swiss-made mechanism from Mermode and Company, imported to America, and then put in an American-made case. But it's up to you to prove what species of mahogany it is.
So the
So-
antique grandmother inherited whatever because it was made with mahogany now is in question.
That's exactly what we had to do, was do an analysis of exactly what species of mahogany it was, what variety, and where it was originally sourced. In our research, we found out in the late 1800s, America, especially the New York manufacturers of cabinets, was using mahogany from Florida. So it was domestic. It was domestic mahogany. That's not a protected species yet. But if it was Honduras from South America, that's a protected species. Where do we get most of our mahogany furniture from today that's manufactured? South America. If you try to ship even a modern piece of furniture made of Honduras mahogany to Japan, expect it to be stopped in customs and then If it is from South America, it's technically a protected species. It will be seized and destroyed. So, you know, they're,
I tried
to a certain,
importing
it's a governmental thing that they're trying not to be as specific as they could be.
Yeah.
But they're also trying to force an industry that basically clear cuts and doesn't replace in the proper manner for future generations. And they're trying to force that industry through the legislation that's internationally now accepted. And, you know, that's what we're having to, that's what other people historically are trying to have to deal with and weave through this difficult, circumstances.
So this leads to the whole end of antique furniture and pieces that we have in our homes. Because we can't sell them unless you can prove things without someone getting into the legal nitwit grits.
Yeah,
Which means people are gonna throw them out.
You can sell a crate.
Who's got the crate that's sitting in our rooms?
no, but that's why Sotheby's and Christie's do not usually want to deal in clocks that have ivory. Or if they do, they're removing the mercury, they're removing the ivory, they're replacing it with something alternative. All the precious ebony woods, rosewood, some of the mahoganies are unless that's why the auction galleries have specialists now identifying what species are used in the artwork. Because they need to guarantee that they're putting it to sale, they're not limiting what their potential bidder source is, or what their bidders, they want to be able to sell to the largest possible audience. And once they have something that has protected CITES or restricted materials, then they're narrowing it down, saying, no, we're not going to handle that. No, we're not going to handle that. Because they don't want that difficulty. They don't want to sell it and not be able to ship it. Or ship it, and then the customer is discovering he can't get it. He or she can't actually receive it out of the country. We're not seeing a big problem domestically from shipments, because we're not that restrictive here in the country. But if it's traveling outside the country, you really have to have an awareness of what's going on. It's slowly, incrementally moving forward, getting stronger and getting traction.
Jere, I think one additional point that needs to be made about this is they can not only stop it at the border, but let's say you have an argument or even litigation with them and you prevail. They will not release it until you pay for the storage, say, in their facility in Tokyo Airport.
Thank you very much.
Right. Confiscated cars at the.
So you end up losing anyway.
Thank you much for the service. So that concludes the talk, and thanks, Lowe's, for coming in.